Longer. Who's flying when, by the way? Before we start, Jason, when are you flying?
I'm flying on the 20th.
20th. Shikha?
I'm flying on the 29th.
29. Bhavika?
Okay, I'm starting the webinar.
Oh, okay. Bhavika, when are you flying?
I'm there already.
Oh, you're there already. And Firoza, you?
End of
And you have time. Hello, welcome attendees to our webinar today on how to get strategies on your selective college applications for your master's journey ahead. We're going to start in about a minute and a half or so. We're just going to wait for some more people to join in, and then we shall begin with our exceptional panel today. Please bear with us for a minute and a half. Maybe grab your coffee or grab a quick cup of chai for yourself and you sit back and enjoy this amazing panel discussion. All right, let's get started. Welcome, everyone. Here you can learn about your selective global college application from admitted students. Our panelists all applied for the fall of 2024 admits, and two of them have been admitted to the United Kingdom, universities in the United Kingdom, and two to the United States. And we're going to go immediately into introducing them to you. But before that, I want to tell you what you can look forward to hearing from us today about. So you are going to learn about what your journey will entail if you are considering a master's application for fall 2025 or even after. You're going to learn a little bit about the strategies that worked for them, some that didn't. They're also going to take you through the components of the application, and they're going to also be able to highlight with you authentically as they communicate with you some of the strategies that they felt were the stronger parts of the application that actually got them those admits, the coveted admits that they've had. So with that, I go into introducing to you Jason, Firoza, Shikha, and Bhavika. Welcome, first and foremost, Jason, Firoza, Shikha, Bhavika, and thank you so much for agreeing to do this with the Red Pen today. We are really, really excited for the four of you being here because, and I've spoken to each counselor that worked with you. We are all very excited about having worked with you. Each one of you brought so much trust and belief in the Red Pen into your journey, and each one of you gave us so much to think about. And it was truly a pleasure working with each and every one of you, and therefore you were handpicked for this panel because I'm sure that you will add a lot of insights to the attendees today and to their strategies going forward. Let's start quickly with a round of introductions. Let's go alphabetically. So we'll start with Bhavika, and then Firoza, Jason, and then Shikha.
Okay,
Bhavika,
so
please introduce yourself. Tell us your name, where are you headed, and what are you going to study?
okay. So hi everyone, I am Bhavika Balani, and okay, so I'll be studying applied mathematics and statistics, and I'm headed to Johns Hopkins University.
All right. Thank you and welcome, Bhavika. Let's go with Firoza.
Thank you, Chipti. Hi, everybody. My name is Firoza Modi. I'm going to be pursuing my Master of Laws at the University of Cambridge this year.
Excellent. Thank you, Firoza. Jason, you're next.
Hi everyone, I'm Jason Mesquita and I'm headed to Columbia University to pursue a master's in data science.
Perfect. And Shikha, how about you?
Hi everyone, my name is Shikha Kothari and I am pursuing strategic marketing, master's in strategic marketing at Imperial College this year.
All
London.
right, congratulations to each one of you. I know how hard you all have worked on these admits and the amount of energy that has gone in. For people who are unfamiliar with me, my name is Tripti Singh. I head the postgraduate services here at the Red Pen. Over the last 20 years that I have been doing educational counseling, and specifically the last 6 that I've spent with the Red Pen, our key focus has been on really keeping our ears to the ground and bringing to you the most unbiased and most objective information from the world over with regard to graduate school admissions. And in that endeavor, the Journey to College event that the Red Pen hosts across all its service lines in undergrad, MBA, and Masters and PhD, it's our flagship event that focuses entirely on bringing you the most authentic advice and strategies. We want to make sure that we empower you with the right information to be able to make those decisions for yourself. So on that note, let's start from the very beginning. I want each one of you, actually, I'm going to stop sharing my screen now so we can all see each other. I want each one of you to start with an icebreaker kind of question. Finish the sentence for me. The most stressful aspect of the process for me was, and this time we'll go reverse. So let's start with Shikha. The most stressful part of the application for me was?
I think it was really overwhelming managing with the deadlines, especially when you're balancing out with other responsibilities of like working and studying. So I think that was super stressful.
All right. And then we go to Jason.
For me, the most nervous moment was the last hour before submitting each application, where you're running through the entire application, checking for errors, and then you finally let go and hit that submit button. It's quite anxious because now the ball is entirely in their court.
Right. Got it. And Firoza, how about you?
For me, it was managing application deadlines while working full time as well.
Oh, so time management was this most stressful part for you as well. Wow. All right. And Bhavika?
Okay, so I think for me the most stressful was the SOP because there's no right or wrong answer. Such a like this one document holds so much potential. So like making sure that this is the right thing, it was quite stressful for me.
It was stressful for you, huh? So
Yeah.
glad it's all right. I'm going to start with the very first component that we all worked on very, very closely, which was curating a college list, which was very unique to each one of you, right? Jason, you took a minute zeroing on your college list. The amount of calls your counselor and I've had to had saying, okay, Jason is still not confirming his colleges, and okay, how can we support him? Because we're always trying to get you to commit, but you took a lot of time researching your colleges, and you explored a lot of options. Whereas Firoza, you were very clear from the beginning. With you, there was that maturity with which you approached your college list process. So I want to ask you both first this, right? What were the parameters that you were both taking into consideration? And Firoza, we start with you. And tell us, the counselor that was assigned to you from the Red Pen, what recommendations that they made you kind of took into consideration and that kind of supported you in this process?
Right. Yes. So, in order to narrow down the universities I wanted to apply to, my frame of reference first began with what I wanted to do after the LLM. Because I had a clear idea of the kind of law that I wanted to pursue, it then allowed me to start researching on the kinds of LLM programs that the universities had to offer. What helped in my case, though, that I was very clear that I wanted to pursue higher education only in the UK and Europe at this point in time, which helped in my search. Other factors that I took into consideration were also the emphasis on research at the university, because that's something I am very interested in. Extracurricular professional university opportunities supported financially by the university, and general prospects in my areas of interest in the countries that I wanted to study in. What I really appreciated when working with my counselor Anaka was that when narrowing down colleges, she took the time to understand my interests, this very specific kind of law that I wanted to study, and found programs that were tailor-made according to this. And she also then considered what kind of post-study and stay-back options I would have in terms of visas and licensing requirements, which really helped me focus on the kind of universities I wanted to look at. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Okay, yeah, that's again, see the maturity and the clarity. You were very clear about what your number one priority was, and then you just move with that slowly. Jason, how about you? What were the considerations that you were keeping in mind when you were picking your college list?
So one of the main things I looked at was the curriculum offered by the course. So Masters in Data Science is offered by many universities, but the curriculum technically can vary a lot. So I looked at the curriculums and whether what concepts they were focusing on, whether that interests me. Then there were other factors like the location of the state. Some states can be quite unsafe. Some states can be very cold in the US. And one really good advice that my counselor gave me, she told me to look at the job profiles of the alumni from that university and whether I would like to go for that particular job role because there are many job roles in our field. And as a result, if those job roles interest me, then I really wanted to go after those courses in those universities.
Yeah, that sounds like very practical, sound advice in terms of saying, okay, why don't you work backwards? First, figure out where
Yeah.
the network in this university is going to come to you. What kind of a network are you going to expose yourself to? Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Shikha, what made you zero in on strategic marketing? And is this choice, one, aligned with what you did in your undergrad?
So I did my undergrad at HR college and I completed my bachelor's in management studies where I majored in marketing. So it was definitely an aligned choice. Although what helped me narrow it down was definitely the curriculum. I think that was the key aspect because at Imperial, my course curriculum includes like a creative aspect and an analytical aspect. So being a marketing geek, I think it provided me the best of both worlds. So it just got easier to narrow it down to that then.
All right, super. And Bhavika, your choice, much like Shikha, is also a natural progression of what you did in the undergrad. Can you just tell us what you did in the undergrad?
Okay, yeah. So I studied mathematics. I did my bachelor's in mathematics, and post which I worked for a bit and I explored. So I worked in finance, and then I also did a postgraduate diploma in data science. So yeah, I did explore, but I worked in research after that. And it was that research internship that made me decide that I should actually go in math, and that would be the best choice for me. So yeah, it was a natural progression, but I did take a, didn't take a straight path to it.
Got it. So there were these experiences that you had in terms of the work experience, some
Hmm.
combination, and then finally you
Right.
led to something that you said, okay, this
Yeah.
kind of feels like it sticks, right?
Hmm.
And Shikha, in your case as well, were the experiences within marketing that made you feel like I need a curriculum that's the balance between creative and analytical, or was it just a strategic thought and you were like, look, if I'm doing something at the graduate level, it should be something that makes me gives me employment long term. And we all know technical skills, analytical skills are currently what the market is looking at.
Right. No, I don't think it was that because there are, if you go to see, there are opportunities in the creative aspect as well, and in the analytical aspect as well, specifically. But the reason why I chose this was because I actually worked and interned at places and I enjoyed both of them so much. So I couldn't choose and I didn't want to make that decision so early on in life of picking one and going in depth. So I was like, I'll just take a holistic approach to it and, pursue both. And then later on, I can see which one has more scope for me.
Got it. And while I have you speaking, did you apply while you were in your final year of college or with work experience?
I did have work experience by through my final year of college. So I did apply like during my final year of college, but I was done. So I was working full time by then. But before that, I had like 3 internship experiences. So it was there was quite a bit on my work profile.
And do you think that this amount of exposure to real world work kind of helped make your profile a little more competitive for Imperial?
100%. I think it definitely was one of my key differentiating factors from my peers, as it helped me showcase that the knowledge and skills that I learned not only in the classroom, but I have actually applied those things in real life practically. And I think it made me more confident in, talking about the things that I like and making sure that, oh, this is what I want to pursue. This is why I like it. And I've worked over here. So these are the reasons why I've liked it.
Got it. Got it. And Firoza, I'm going to ask you the same thing. You also had internships, but you also had a very strong research profile, right? So how much do you think that added in terms of value to the way Cambridge kind of gauged your competitiveness?
So, specifically with Cambridge and some of the other universities that I was looking at, they are the kind of universities that do appreciate an academic profile and work in research and academia. And when I was also like during my undergraduate itself, because I had a vague idea of what I wanted to focus on, it allowed me to then allowed me to choose opportunities in a very focused manner that I knew would then help in my overall profile. And when I was drafting my essays and highlighting points in my CV, I made sure to emphasize the research that I've done, the kind of focus that I've had in academia from college, and even during the job that I took up while I was applying. And I think that helped in showing this continuity in my profile and the interest that I've had for a while and how it has developed over time.
Correct. And when I read your essays, when I was reviewing them, I thought, Firoza, I honestly felt that you were using your research experience as a strength to connect it to what the universities was offering as their USP. Like Cambridge is very proud of the research academia that the academia does, right? Their faculty and things. So you were actually positioning your research strength as a great fit and coming from a place of not saying aspirationally, I want to do more research. You were like, well, I'm already a good fit because I've already started that path towards dwelling more into my subject through research. And I kind of could see that conviction in your essay. And I felt like that was a really strong strategy for you because you were not aspirational about it. You could show Cambridge that, look, I'm a good fit already. You don't need to overthink it. I like that in your essay, to be honest. Jason, coming to you, right? Remember that first session we had, you, me, mom?
Yes.
You said, okay, I want to go immediately. And I said, okay, Jason, there is an opportunity for you to kind of wait it out for a year because you're so young, Indian male engineer. Why don't you wait for a year? Think about working. Mom also was like kind of interested in that idea. And she's like, okay, let's talk about it. And this was even before we kind of worked on your application and stuff. This was just that pre-application initially we did. And then when you came back to the team and you said, no, I'm definitely clear. I'm looking at fall 2025. What was that decision? What was it hinged on? What made you decide the year of application? Like, do I want to wait? Because you were not going to run out of time. You're too young to be late. So what made you decide I want to apply while in my senior year versus I'll wait for a year, work, and then I'll apply?
Me personally, I did not want to take a break after my undergrad from studying. So I wanted to directly pursue my master's. And it depends from person to person. Some people like to have a couple of work experiences before their master's. I did do a couple of internships during my undergrad, so I had some work experience on my CV. And as I said, I did not want to take a break from studying really. That was the main thing.
Yeah. And I think for me and your counselor to kind of agree to that strategy was also because you had very strong data. Your GPA and stuff was really strong. So for us, we were like, that's going to be the strength of his application, or how he's being able to cope with rigor so beautifully. So in your case, that decision did kind of fit in and it was okay. Whereas I have worked with Indian male engineers in the past where even though they wanted to go immediately, I've kind of spoken to them very seriously about saying, okay, you really need that one extra year to work and build a unique uh, element to be able to understand what value you're going to add to data sciences or to Columbia or UW or wherever you are eventually going to apply. But in your case, because your data was strong, we felt like it was going to be okay, Jason, right?
Another
So,
thing,
yeah,
in the fourth year, if you're going for placements, then the entire process is very different from applying for higher studies because you got to start your placement training and all of that. So you got to put your whole effort into placement related training in your fourth year of your engineering. And then again, you work for 2 years. And then again, you have to start your application process for higher studies. So I found that a very long route.
long drawn out process. Yeah, no, that makes sense for you. The kind of student that you are, that does make sense. You're good at doing that one thing and just doing it at a deeper level. So that definitely makes sense. How many colleges did you apply to, Jason, eventually?
12 universities.
12. And Bhavika, how about you? How many did you apply to?
I applied to 12 as well.
12. And you were admitted to how many?
8.
8. And how did you pick these top 12?
Okay, so I made I did not just pick out the super dream or dream colleges, I had a combination. So I had super dream, dream, then moderate, and safety. So I wanted to have a good number of universities because I wanted to be safe. So yeah, I just picked my 12 because of that. But also these 12 universities weren't just for safety. These programs also aligned with my interest. So I like went through each of the programs obviously and picked out the ones where I think even if I got into one of them, it would be a good fit. So yeah, it did take a lot of work for that. But yeah, overall, the main point for this was definitely to be safe. So I picked 12 that way.
I liked what you just said, Bhavika, because I think that's my advice. And for the last 20 years, I've been saying it again and again. Pick a college list which is deep, super dream, high target, safeties, whatever. But make sure that you do enough research, like what Firoza did, and eventually what Shikha did, because Shikha, we're going to talk a little bit about how many countries and then what happened. But um, go so deep in your research that it doesn't matter what the categorization of the college is. You'll be happy with any admit because you are such a good fit for what you seek to study. Right? Right, Jason? Am I right? Is that the same advice we gave you as well?
Yeah.
Right? And Firoza, Shikha, I'm sure it's the same for the two of you as well. Right? Bhavika, do you mind sharing with us your admits if you don't mind?
Okay, so first is Johns Hopkins, another is Columbia, then Northeastern, Stony Brook University, um, University of Washington, Seattle, then University of Maryland, um, okay, New York University, and one more I'm missing. Um, okay, I can't recall which one that is.
Okay. And the scholarship was from where?
It was from Johns Hopkins.
Okay. And then how did you? So you had a Columbia, you had a University of Washington, you had something in New York City, you had something in Boston, which has an amazing co-op program. The Northeastern Co-op is exceptional in the United States, one of its kind. So what made you pick Johns Hopkins over the others? How did you pick your right fit program?
Okay, so that is mainly because of my future goals. I want to get into research, and I also have a specific field of research that I was working in prior to this. So that is machine learning optimization. There's a professor very like renowned in this field. He is at Johns Hopkins. So I want to work with him, and also there is a track called optimization track, exactly what I've worked prior to this. So everything aligned perfectly. The courses were perfect. The professor, I hope I get to work with that professor. And then the university brand name is there. Then the scholarship is there. Yeah, I picked Johns Hopkins because of that.
Did it hurt giving up an Ivy League Columbia?
A little bit, yes.
It
We
hurt.
had a meeting. I was conflicted because, or definitely Columbia, but I think Johns Hopkins aligned better with my goals.
Yeah. And by the way, I've had a lot of applicants every year give up an Ivy League for a right fit program. Not one has ever called me back and said I regret it. Okay, the ones who take the Ivy Leagues like a Jason are also not called me and said I regret it, just by the way. But nobody who gives up an Ivy League or gives up a Cambridge or an Oxford for a great fit calls me and says I regret it. Nobody's ever regretted it. So you're going to be fine, Bhavika. Shikha, that brings me to you. You also had some stellar admits. What made you decide and pick on Imperial? And was it just the name because it's ICL or was it because it's London City, so it's more happening for marketing? What were your reasons for picking
No, it
ICL?
definitely wasn't just the name, but I'm not gonna lie, it was a cherry on the top. I mean, it's ICL at the end of the day. But like I said, what made it easier was the curriculum because few of my subjects include marketing planning strategy, analysis, brand management, and many, many more interesting topics. And we also get to choose further electives like luxury marketing, which is what I want to pursue, sustainable marketing, in which we can choose our niche. What I really like about Imperial, apart from the curriculum, is its teaching method. It was very practical. It is very practical. A lot of case studies, and I think that's what they emphasize on. So that's what just made it easier, and then I was like, this is it. This is final.
Got it. And Shikha, again, while I have you here, why did you decide to not apply to the US?
So I did apply to 2 universities in the US. I didn't want to go to the US for personal reasons, but apart from that, the most pressing reason was the WES evaluation. So I hadn't decided that I was going to do my master's in my last year of college. I was still like, oh, do I want to work or do I want to study? So I was still in that haze. But when I did decide and I did have a talk with you all, that time we came up with the matter of WES, which is basically for certain US colleges, you need a 5+1 year of education. So that would mean that after my bachelor's, I would have to do 1 year of MCom or master's in India. And then after that, I would have to go to pursue my master's abroad in the US. And I didn't want to wait it out, like Jason. I wanted to go right away. I wanted to I didn't want to take a break after my undergrad studies. So I was just like, mainly UK is my focus. And I applied to like 2 in the US. So that was it.
That's it. Okay, got it. Jason, how about you? How did you go about picking your final choice? Which were
So
your admits?
I got 4 admits from University of Southern California, UC San Diego, Columbia University, and Carnegie Mellon. So
Yeah.
it was a really tough decision between Columbia and Carnegie Mellon.
I'm still finding it tough. Like, I'm still thinking in my head, why did we say no to CMU? Why did he not go to San Diego? Like, it was such an amazing day, the day we did that call, and we were like, okay, mom was like, I don't know what to tell him anymore. And I'm like, that's an amazing problem, but I know how hard that is. How do you give up a Carnegie Mellon, right?
Yeah. So for me, I just felt that the curriculum of Columbia suited me more because Carnegie Mellon, their curriculum was more focused on an aspect of data science, which I had done projects on in my undergrad, but I did not really enjoy learning about that particular aspect. And I just felt that Columbia focused a lot more on statistics and all, which I was really interested in.
Okay, that makes sense. And Firoza, you already told us that you were very clear that the kind of law you wanted to study, Cambridge offered it. So that was one of your very key parameters for picking Cambridge. Of course, when you got in, that was one of the reasons why you kind of chose it, right? Do you regret giving up any of the other admits that you had?
Right. So I also got into LSC around the same time when I did get Cambridge's decision. And it was a bit of a difficult choice between the two because LSE is a fantastic university as well. And the way that they teach law is also amazing. But for me, I think what sealed the deal for Cambridge was 2 things. One, that they had a dedicated pro bono project that they actually actively work on. And that's the kind of work that I was doing during the time I was applying and want to do during the application as well as after my LLM. And also the fact that, so I'm interested in international law. And Cambridge has institutionalized this for over centuries now, and it has dedicated research centers that are multidisciplinary in nature. And that's something that was really important to me because I didn't want to focus just on the course itself, but also wanted to really push out into the kind of research that I could do across in the university. So knowing those kind of opportunities that were available at Cambridge, those really pushed me to take that offer.
Okay. So, yes or no answer, did the brand matter eventually, or it was the curriculum and the opportunities?
The curriculum and the opportunities. It does help to know that this is an amazing university, but that was not something that I was focusing on during the time of my application.
Got it. Jason, for you, did the brand matter, the fact that it was an Ivy League, or just the curriculum?
The brand does play a factor, but not a significant factor. It's like one of the deciding.
Okay, that's amazing to hear, everyone, because if I had to just wrap up this session, right, and for all our listeners today and our attendees today, what you heard being resonated across all 4 panelists was that do your research, spend time identifying your course fit, your curriculum fit, finding out what within that curriculum aligns with what you want to do after your master's program. If you are able to find that connect, then your college list, whether it's 6 colleges or 12, will not matter. Each one will be equally exciting for you. And the categorization is important at the end of it, after you get your admits. Once you have 6 admits, 8 admits, 14 admits sometimes, then you can sit and put your secondary filters of saying, okay, what is the location? How cold will it be? What will be the international cohort? What are the extracurricular opportunities? Those things cannot replace the curriculum fit. that we are so bullish about at the Red Pen. When you work with the Red Pen, that's the focus first. We help you understand how important it is for you to find your curriculum fit with regards to your short-term goals. So thank you, each one of you, kind of resonating that for us today. I also want to take a quick minute and talk about World Education Services. So the United States, through their marketing channels, kind of promotes that they are okay to accept 3-year undergraduate degrees for their master's applications. But the reality of what Shikha discovered, and a lot of students discovered, is that not every university in the United States is accepting of your 3-year undergraduate degree. So what they have done is they've put in this middle par of a third party credit evaluation company. They have to be these NACES approved company. Then WES is one of those. It's one of the most popular ones. And WES takes your 3 years transcripts and mark sheets and evaluates them to its 4-year equivalency, which is in the United States. So it's not like you will get it, hands down. They're trying to get most Indian universities to get it, but not everybody gets it. So if you are a 3rd-year student and you're thinking of the United States or Canada, please check in with the counselor, or check in with WES directly and find out whether you will be considered eligible or not. And then you'll have to pay for a report and then send that report to each university in the United States or in Canada you're applying to. So it's a bit of a technical process. You can't really avoid it. So you better get started with it now. In fact, you should have started with it yesterday. All right, moving on. Jason, we start with you. Take us through your essay writing process, Jason, for a minute. How did it go? Was it easy? Was it life-changing for you?
So the essay writing process was quite tedious, and each university gives a different prompt, and I focused on answering the questions correctly that are asked in the prompt. I spoke a lot about my project work, my research work, and why exactly I wanted to pursue that particular course, the reasons, and what about my passion for data science. And we went through many revisions for each essay, and then for each university, it varied also quite a bit because of the different prompts and even the difference in word limits. Some have 500 words, some have 1000, others don't mention a word count.
So it was tedious for you, especially
Yeah.
with you managing all those different things together, right?
Yes, to shorten it to 1000 words can be quite difficult.
It can be quite difficult. Yeah, I agree. Firoza, what was your experience? Too much work and therefore a lot of details, much like what Jason said. You had a lot of information to share, right? How did you tackle it? And so what helped you finally arrive on the final crisp version of your draft? What was the word limit for Cambridge? Or LSE is 500, right?
Yeah. I think for Cambridge it was about 1200. I'm sorry, it's a bit hard to recollect right now, but so I think when I was initially drafting my essay, I ended up putting a lot about what was already in my CV and highlighting that. And while that's important, I wasn't really telling a story about why I wanted to pursue higher education in my areas of interest. And what did help me in the end was when I was towards the near final drafts that I had written, I ended up sending that to a lot of people in different capacities. So I sent it to my supervisor, my colleagues, alumni from Cambridge and other universities, as well as a friend. And I tried to understand how they were reading it and what I was missing as well. Because I already had inputs from my counselor, but I wanted to really build on that and see what exactly was lacking. So I think all of those combined allowed me to open up more in the essay. And I was a lot more vulnerable than my initial drafts. And I ended up being more personal in it and not just writing, okay, I have done so and so, I have learned so much from this, and this is what I have learned, but also saying, this is why I want to apply, this is my story, this is who I am as an individual and why I'm a right fit. And then I tied that in with a few points here and there from my work experiences, internships, research, etc.
Got it. Shikha, I see you nodding along with Firoza. That was your experience as well. Your story was, you're a
Yeah.
marketing person, so you know how that personal connect in a
Yeah,
story.
I
and-
totally relate with her when she said that towards the final draft, I did get like personal and more vulnerable, because in the first draft, I was just like showcasing my strengths and this is why I should be there and all of that. But towards the last, like our final draft, I was like, oh, like this is who I am. This is it, like it's either take it or leave it.
Right, right. And Bhavika, how hard was it for you? Because your program is so technical, like Jason's. right?
Mm.
There's no human connection to mathematics. Like, to be honest, what are you going to talk like international relations, marketing, sure. But so where did you find it hard to kind of disconnect from the technical to the personal, or did you give a pure technical draft? Which one did you choose to do?
Okay. I don't think it was purely technical. So what I did was I went chronologically. So with each stage, I went and picked out one situation which I found difficult, how I tackled it, what actions I took, and what was the result of that. And how that result helped me decide, okay, applied math might be the right fit for me. So I started with my undergrad, which was Xavier's, and then I went to my work. Then I went to that PG diploma and research experience bit. And through all of these experiences, I picked out that answer for me that gave away, okay, doing applied mathematics makes sense for her. So I then connected that with the final part of my SOP, which basically picked out which courses I am taking from the program. And with each course, what I'm going to learn from that particular course and how I'm going to apply that later into my research.
Understood. Yeah. So you did a little bit of both, but more technical and less of the personal.
Yeah,
The personal was
definitely.
more often like a implied thing, right? I actually, to prepare for the session, I went back to all your essays, and I want to say one thing, that each one of you did one thing very beautifully in the essay, which was explain the why now element. So the why math, why data science, all of that was great, fine. I know our content team is really good, really strong. So, but each one of you were very clear about the why now element, why you need this master's degree now. And that also, in my experience, is a very important element of getting an admit, because the university wants to see that clarity as to why are you choosing to do this now versus later or versus earlier. So that actually helped, I think, each one of you. That's my retrospective analysis, that's probably another reason why it worked. Quickly, let's talk about recommendations. What was your strategy, Jason? What was your recommendation strategy?
So I took a couple of recommendations from my professors at my university,
Academic. Okay.
and the third one was from a mentor from one of my internships at TCS.
Okay, so senior year student applying to academic, one internship supervisor.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, Firoza, yours?
So because I'd already started working when I applied to college, most applications recommended a blend of one professional and one academic reference. I narrowed down my recommenders to one my human rights professor at college, and then my direct supervisor and head of organization at work.
Okay, got it. Bhavika, how about you?
Okay, so I reached out to 4 people and I needed 3 recommendations. So one was my head of the department at Xavier's, then my supervisor at work, and then my advisor during my research. And I made sure that these 3 people knew me really well. One was another professor from Xavier's, but yeah, all 4 people knew me really well so that they can write well about me. It shouldn't be like okay, this person, I know her, she took a course. It shouldn't be like that. It should be more personal. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. More personal stories to share with about you.
Yeah. Hmm.
Right. Ika, how about you?
So I actually gathered 5 LORs from every workplace, from every internship of mine. That's 3, and 2 from my college. So one was my vice principal and my course coordinator. But I submitted only 2. So that was my course coordinator, because she worked with me very closely and she knew exactly how I was academically and in extracurriculars. And I was just like interacting with her more. And I submitted another one, was my current workplace, my manager at the time. So like Firoza said, that it's preferable to submit like one work and one academic. So I chose that and I went ahead.
I remember when we were working on your recommendations. So we have a weekly discussion. We discuss all our applicants every week, each one of us. Okay.
Right.
So I remember it was like, she wants from her, even her first internship, and she's not listening to us when we are telling her to do the most recent internship. And we were like, okay, we're going to let her get all of them. And then
Yeah.
she's going to be able to see how much it makes sense to get the most recent one, to submit the most recent one, because it gives
Right.
the most relevant point of view, because you were a
Right.
child in your first internship versus your last internship, right? In
Right.
comparison. So we were like, but she's not listening. And I'm like, yeah,
Yeah, I
let's.
remember Vaishali telling me, she's like, yeah, you need to give the most recent one. Why are you collecting so many?
Yeah.
I'm like,
So
I'll
we
just keep
decided we were going
it.
to let it be. We're going to pick our battles with you. We were like, okay, let's
Yeah.
just get it done. And
Yeah.
when she reads them, she'll only be able to see that she's so much more mature today.
Yeah.
And
I
I'm
think
glad you took that
that was the
advice.
right decision. Thanks
Yeah,
to
because then
you.
otherwise it would have been a call with me saying, Shikha, come on, get with the program.
Yeah, definitely.
So that was good. All right. And do you guys think your recommendations were strong? You think they played a role in your applications?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Jason, you agree?
Yes, definitely.
Definitely. All right. So let's move on to the GRE. Show of hands. Who all gave the GRE or the GMAT? Okay, three of you gave the GRE. GRE, right? All three of you?
I gave the GMAT.
You gave the GMAT. All right, Shikha. Were you happy with your score?
No, I just gave it once. I wasn't happy. I declined it. I was like, I'm not giving GMAT again.
Okay, and then you didn't submit it, obviously.
No.
Okay, but you're glad you gave it? You got it out of the way?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
I,
It
I,
feels like
I
a burden.
performed, I fared very well compared to what I actually thought I would. And even Vaishali said you should have just accepted your score. But it was
Huh.
just not what I thought I wanted to receive. So I just
Yeah.
cancelled it.
Firoza, you didn't need to only. So there was no question about it. Jason, were you happy with your score?
Yeah, I was happy with my GRE score
And how long did you
and
prepare for it?
about 2 months.
2 months. Okay. And
So I included it in all my applications wherever they asked for it. Some of them did not require it.
yeah, correct. But you didn't submit it if they didn't require it. Not
Yeah,
even
in Colombia, I did submit it.
yeah, yeah.
In
I mean,
some, they gave the option whether we wanted to submit it or not.
yeah. I mean, I am yet to see a Columbia admit for somebody without a GRE. I had one data science admit to, I think, was it Purdue or UW, for somebody who had like 7 years work ex. He hadn't given the GRE, he got admitted. It was 2 cycles ago. But other than that, for a senior year student, I am yet to see a non-GRE admit.
My
to
friend got in actually, and he did not include his GRE score.
Oh, he did? So that's great data. Please, let's connect on that again.
Yeah,
I would like to know more.
okay.
Bhavika, how about you? Happy with your score?
Yeah, I was happy with my score and I submitted it everywhere.
Right? Do you
Mhm.
think the Johns Hopkins scholarship would have come through without a GRE score?
I don't think so. I know one person who also received the scholarship also had a great GRE score. So yeah, I don't know of that case where somebody received a scholarship without the GRE score.
The GRE score, yeah. I mean, again, when we talk about college lists, especially for North America, Canada, US, whatever, there is that element of sometimes hoping that you get a merit scholarship, and the data points are very, very important for that.
Hmm.
Even in colleges, Jason, like where they make it optional, it comes down to suppose having 3 Indian male engineers, and then they'll be like, okay, but the 2 of them gave the GRE, this one didn't. And I wonder, like, if it's just makes sense to take that kind of a chance. So I'm a little bit old school like that. But yeah, I've noticed that GRE makes a lot of difference for scholarships sometimes. Even in the UK, actually, I've seen some of the more competitive scholarships come through when people have strong GRE scores. All right. Let's talk about extracurriculars. We do have some time, so we'll go ahead and talk about extracurriculars. I do want to encourage our attendees to kind of leave their questions in the Q&A box. I did notice some people left their questions and then some of you did answer them. But if you have any more questions, continue putting them in the box and we will take questions at the end of the session. I'll also talk to you about a little bit of a timeline if I get time at the end. But if not, our panelists will be available they're on LinkedIn. You can drop them a message, and if they like you, then they'll just accept you and then answer your question on LinkedIn. All right, Jason, computer science student, did you have compelling community work or extracurricular activities that made it into your SOP? Did you talk about any of those elements in your SOP?
So my SOP was very academically oriented, where I focused on my research publications, project work. But my personal history statement did include some of the extracurricular activities and the club work that I had done because the prompts had asked for that, where they asked us to give an example of where we contributed to our undergrad community or to diversity. So over there, I did mention.
Got it. Um, Firoza, you have had this amazing internship work that you organically aligned with your goals. Remember that element of your essay? Take us through that a little bit. And if you can share that part of your profile with us a little bit. That'll
Yeah.
be nice for the attendees today.
Absolutely. So as far as my internships are concerned, I did a mix of legal and research internships. Since it was mandated by my course, I interned over in several places over 5 years. And through these, I actually ended up focusing on a lot of subject areas. I did company law, family law, international law, and human rights, etc. And so when I had to write my essay and highlight these experiences in my CV, what I did was to make sure the portion of work that aligned with both my short-term and long-term goals, I really made that stand out. So where I did work in human rights during in my internships as well as brief research opportunities, I put that forth in the essay. And I used this to my advantage because I knew that both my professional as well as my academic references would also highlight these because I had I had sought out those recommendations in such a manner. So I wanted to make it as holistic as possible with this idea that I am very focused in this particular area of law. And this is something that I want to do. And that's why I'll be able to be a good fit for X program at so-and-so university.
Super. Yeah, that actually adds a lot of insight into somebody looking at essays. And in your case, because Cambridge only has a personal statement, right? And LSE, most of the UK pretty much only has one personal statement. There has to be that blend of technical and personal connect. In the US, however, like Jason mentioned, there's a personal history statement, which is quite unique in its sense, where they don't want to know anything about your professional or academic journey. They want to get to know you as a person. The US is a lot about getting to know each other and a lot about self-awareness. And then they also have like a diversity statement sometimes. So there are these different essays, and we have to kind of first spend time with an applicant, helping them understand these unique cases, right? And because you're able to understand it, then you're able to bring in the right content for it, which you were able to really do. Pick out that 2-3 technical details that connect, and then only talk about those in that essay. So that really helped. And I'm not going to spend too much time today talking about the personal history statement versus personal statement, etc., because we do have a statement of purpose webinar coming up in September. So if anybody is interested in knowing deeper, of course, get in touch with us. But if not, we can let us know over an email, and we can send you the link for the SOP webinar that's coming up in September. And there, our head of content will take you through all the different essays and go deeper into it. So the whole hour is just on essays. So we'll do that. Now I want to move on to, okay, I'm going to recap first for our listeners today, for our audience today. We spoke about the college list curating, and we spoke about how important curriculum is. We spoke about recommendation strategies, and we spoke about how I mentioned, the senior year student getting more academic, but like Shikha collected so many internships, but she used the most recent. And then Bhavika got somebody who really, really knew her very, very well. So she knew that there were personal examples to share. And then Firoza also mentioned how she got more professional because she does have work experience. So, remember those key insights when you're thinking of your recommendation strategy. We then also discussed the GRE, GMAT, standardized test. Need it, don't need it. There's no right answer. You have to speak to your counselor. The counselor will gauge your profile and kind of give you some advice. But at the end of the day, you have to see whether it's a strength area of yours or not. What my blanket advice to you is, don't not do it because mentally you feel like, hey, I was never good at math, or I'm just not strong verbally, I don't want to do it. That's not fair to you, right? If you have time, which you do in August, speak to someone, come up with a really strong timeline, give that one shot so you've left no stone unturned in getting the right admits. And after that, let the university see if you're a good fit or not. See, as you are gauging the universities for fit, they're also gauging you for fit. So you do your bit, let them do their bit, but don't under challenge yourself. Be strategic, be smart, but don't not challenge yourself. All right. And then I did not talk about resume too much this time because I felt like, there's a lot of resume support available outside. And if you look at YouTube channels, things like that, everybody finds a good template. The only thing that I want to bring here about the resume is that, the template that the four of you worked with, it works because universities like Yale and London Business School and LSE and Oxford are the ones who've kind of given these templates out to the students that I have collected over the years and curated into one format. But it's available on the internet, everybody attending today. So go out, get your resume, make it a one-pager. I'm not going to spend any time talking about the resume today. We spoke about extracurriculars, how they mostly don't make it into your essay unless they're directly related to your area of study ahead. So the last piece that I do want to speak about today, and then we can probably go into some Q&A, is interviews. Shikha, did you have an interview?
Yeah, I did have an interview. So after submitting my personal statement, then the second round was like the interview round, which was actually through Kira Assessment, which is this online platform, and it's actually live. So my camera and my audio has to be on, and everything's recorded. So there were two written answers, like we have to type the answers, and then the rest of the answers, like 6 questions, I think I had to speak. So it was literally like a picture of me, a video of me, and I'm talking to myself, but it was all recorded. And they give you like a time limit. They shoot the question, and you get like 60 seconds to think, and your time limit starts, and you have around like 45, 60 seconds to answer it. So there were a couple of questions actually very, very interesting. I was warned by Vaishali before that Imperial gives really random questions, so just be prepared for anything. They did ask me a lot about marketing concepts in general, like which campaign do I like, why do I like it, which marketing technique is more effective. So a lot on those bases. They asked me about they wanted to know me as a person, so more of how I am socially, how I would react in a classroom with my classmates, and how I would communicate there. And the last question was a super random situation based question where I'm stuck on an island, and what 3 things would I want to get with me. And I had like 60 seconds. I'm like, what do I think? It's a university based question. Do I have to think something like based on my course, or what I would randomly do? But it was just, I think they just wanted to know how we think under pressure, and just see how we can answer quickly. So that was it.
What insights do you want to share with our attendees today on how you prepared for the interview? You knew it was the Kira thing, it's announced in the
Yeah.
form. So you knew the format. The red pen gave you a question bank to prepare. So
Correct.
start from there. What kind of advice would you share?
So I think the question bank was really, really helpful. So I would suggest everyone to, like, whoever's a part of Red Pen, to go through the question banks. Just keep a rough idea of your head points ready, that you want to answer these things. Just basically know yourself, know why you're applying, know your personal statement very, very well, because you cannot conflict with what you're saying in the interview and what's on your personal statement. And just be yourself. Don't take too much pressure, because sometimes under pressure we tend to like mess things up in what we're saying. So like, just take it as it comes. It's okay. They are just trying to understand you and see you in a situation where you're live and you're just kept on the spot and you're answering. So I think just be authentic.
Great advice. Be authentic. Bhavika, you had an interview as well. With which
I had
college?
an interview with Columbia. I think Jason must have had it as well. It was same as Shikha's, but similar to that. So basically, it was a video interview. I got 3 questions. I got 90 seconds to prepare and then 3 minutes to answer. So I like took each question I answered in a minute, and these were random questions I prepared using the red pens question bank. And yeah, these are basic behavioral questions. They might pop a question like, which movie did you watch and what did you learn from it? Or tell us a situation where you faced like a challenge and how did you overcome that? A question might be something like that. So it's not something to be worried about. You can do that, it is going to pop up in your head once that question comes, and just answer that and don't worry about that. Just be relaxed during that.
Be relaxed. And it's easy to say relax for people applying to the US, because I know your counselors told you that the US is all about just vetting, making sure you're the same person who
Yeah.
wrote the essays. UK is not always like that. UK sometimes focuses on the technical aspects of how you answered. So the marketing related questions you didn't get. You wouldn't have got any mathematics related questions, right? She got marketing related questions, which were technical. So
Hmm.
one thing is to always know which school also, like a business school versus a school of engineering versus school of applied math. The question style might change, the question person, the interviewer might change. So we kind of gauge that over the years, as a team, and we kind of give you advice accordingly. Firoza, did you have any interviews by any chance? No.
No, I didn't. No.
No. Jason, anything to share about your interview experience? Any advice?
Yeah, as Bhavika said, I did have an interview at Columbia where they give you 90 minutes to think and then 3 minutes to answer 3 questions. And an advice would be, as Shika said, go through the question banks because they are really helpful and they get your brain thinking, in that aspect where a random question is thrown at you and you're supposed to think on the spot. For me, they asked me, how do you evaluate success? So that's a very philosophical question. And the other two questions were fine. They asked me, which was the toughest course you took in your undergrad, which you found the most difficult. And the one was, who inspires you?
Perfect, right. And another unique thing about Kira that I've noticed in the last 2 years, especially UK colleges have started doing, is you have to put your camera down a little and you have to write live on camera, and then you have to submit that. And they want to see you're the same person who's written the essay. So
Yeah, so luckily I didn't have that. I mean, even if I would, it wouldn't be an issue, but we didn't have that. I think it was like more of typing the answer on the spot that we had in the question thing. But I think this writing bit I'm hearing for the first time.
yeah, so that happened as well, by the way. So, there are these different formats and experiences that they are coming up with, and Kira's obviously leading the front. So all universities are on Kira now. And even when they're doing alumni interviews, I mean, normally alumni interviews are for vetting, but I've noticed that sometimes they get quite tricky. They're getting trickier and trickier just to be able to sift out, the right candidate. So they are also very, very careful about the right fit in graduate school, because remember, for them, for graduate schools, for each one of you, you must know this. At the end of the day, the university is a business. You are going to be the flag bearers of their success story ahead. You are their walking, talking billboards. So they want to make sure that you're bankable for them, right? So that's what they're trying to find innovative ways to be able to gauge who's a good fit for the community. So I think kudos to the four of you and the way you handled the pressure, right? Like each one of you could have succumbed at any point and said, I quit. This is too much. But neither of you did. Each one of you brought in a lot of maturity. And I know three of you said time management was an issue, but actually we never saw it. We didn't see you guys crumbling in the time pressure. So definitely the way you guys have handled it is fantastic. All right. I am going to now go into a quick Q&A before I let you end with that one final piece of advice. So please stay tuned for the final piece of advice that I'm going to ask the panel. I'm going to just quickly look at some questions. Bhavika, do you mind sharing how much scholarship you receive? Somebody asked that, and Bhavika, you don't have to answer if you don't wish to. You can say, I choose to decline.
That's not a problem. Okay, so I received $11,000 per year.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing that. And can we talk about what steps should we take to have a better chance at scholarships? Yes, we can, but, give me some time. Let me go with some of the other questions. If you have time, I'll come back to it. Otherwise, we have a session coming up on 31st August where I'm taking you through all the components of an application. I do always cover scholarships there, so you could attend that. How to make your SOP more personal and humanized in a more technical degree? This is the question I will let Bhavika answer and then Jason. How to make your SOP more personal and humanized in a more technical degree?
Okay, so I think that is something that you should you can consult with your counselor. So for me, it was Jocelyn. We sat together. We picked up the most human parts from the technical bit. He really helped me curate a good SOP. I think it was all him. I think if it was just me, I would not have been able to do that. So we just sat together. We discussed all the technical parts and we discussed what happened behind the scenes. And with those behind the scenes, we picked out the more human bit. So basically, I think there was an instance where I learned a new subject. It was mathematical physics, and I had to program for that. I hadn't learned programming before that. I think I was in my second year, my third semester, and we weren't taught programming. So I also mentioned in my SOP that I did all that work by myself. So I sat alone, went through, self-learned the entire thing. I learned something called Octave. So I just, did mention that one little challenge that I overcame to do well in that one project. So these were some things that were helped cherry picked by my counselor. You can also, think of other instances where you faced a challenge during a project. Maybe pull out that challenge and tell how you overcame that challenge, and that can help you add a more human touch to that technical SOP.
Great advice, Bhavika. Jason, how about you? What do you think?
So in the first paragraph, I did start off by talking about why it appeals to me and why it's my passion. So that was the humanized aspect. And then in the subsequent paragraphs, it gets a lot more technical. It is 80% technical, your SOP. And as Bhavika said, yeah, if you did face a problem and you spoke about how you overcame that problem, then that does bring a humanized element into it.
Perfect. And I want you to both share with me, did Jocelyn write your essay? I know, Jason, you also work with Jocelyn?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I
I
work with
want to
Joss.
put it on camera. Did Jocelyn write your essays?
He did not write, but he helped a lot.
With editing and suggestions. Firoza, did your CS write your essay? Shikha?
I actually work with Jocelyn as well.
Oh, yeah, you work with Jocelyn. Shikha, did you work with Jocelyn as well? Do we have a Jocelyn panel today?
No, I didn't, but I did interact with him for scholarship information. But I worked with Vaishali, and no, she didn't write my essay. She
She
just
didn't
like,
write your essays. Correct. So I just wanted to emphasize here at the Red Pen, we do not write your essays. We will not write for you because your voice is so, so important in this whole process and we want it to be yours. And I guarantee you that each one of you, I know it, is now going to be able to write technical essays going forward for the rest of your life without ever having to hire the Red Pen again. Each one of you. So I'm very, very proud of the amount of empowering we are able to do with each applicant we work with, to be honest. All right. We are almost at the end. One last minute. I'm giving each and every one of you 15 to 20 seconds. What is that one key detail that you wish you knew from the very start of the process? Firoza, we start with you.
For me, it would be the amount of time it takes to research and shortlist universities. Take your time researching countries, programs, and universities as well as their scholarship deadlines. It was a 2-year process for me because initially, because of not knowing how long it would take, I didn't actually consider all the factors. And I switched my decision from applying right after college to applying after working for a while. This was advantageous in the process because I gained a lot of valuable experiences, but take your time researching what you want to eventually pursue.
Okay, super. Jason, you?
It's a holistic process how they review your application. So ensure that you have all your bases covered. You want to have your project work, your research publications, internships, then your test scores. Certifications are also helpful. So since it's a holistic process, ensure that your resume covers everything.
Perfect. Shikha, how about you?
I think Firoza and Jason covered everything, but I think one key aspect would be just don't stress too much, and probably researching and narrowing down your universities is something that I should have done like slightly earlier, and it's something that I should have given slightly more importance. But yeah, the rest is fine.
All's well that ends well.
Yeah.
Bhavika, we end with you. One piece of advice you wish you knew from, one key aspect, element that you knew from the beginning, you wish.
Okay, so I think everyone covered everything, but just one little thing, do reach out to your recommenders on time because they might not submit your recommendation letters on time and you might have to, ping them up every now and then and it might get a little annoying for them. So just reach out to them very early, tell them your deadlines. Even I made an Excel sheet and wrote my program deadlines, gave it to them and asked them to please submit that on time. So the earlier you do that, the better that is, the safer you are.
Oh my God, that's such amazing advice. I remember this one time my recommender said she'd do it. She didn't do it. In December, the applicant followed up. She was in labor. So she said, I'm sorry, now I can't do it for another few weeks. And it was hilarious because then we had to switch. We had to switch finding a recommender for her. But yeah, oh my God, that's amazing advice, Bhavika. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Shikha, Firoza, Bhavika. Thank you so much to each and every one of you. I wish you all the very best. Bhavika, I know you're already there, but I wish the other three of you safe travels. Please stay in touch, join our alumni group so we can, keep sharing information with one another. Reach out to the other people in that group for your professional networking. I am sharing a timeline slide here if anybody wants to take a screenshot. We did not get time, unfortunately, to cover it today. And I do know there are some questions, but unfortunately, we don't have time right now. Do share it on LinkedIn with any one of the panelists or reach out to the Red Pen. Quickly going to share my email address here. Reach out to the team and we'll stay in touch and we can answer all your questions. I hope each one of you have a very, very good weekend. Thank you once again.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
ma'am. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.